Like now, I want a courtship, but their own understanding of courtship is still, because you're in courtship doesn't mean we will not have sex. To say courtship actually still means dating, and if you are courting somebody, is a process of knowing each other. You're going to know each other if you are not that intimate or something. At that point, I have to make my stand known that, okay, from the look of things, it's like this is what you want, and I don't want that. Okay. Then that brings an end to my relationship with them. Yeah.
So I'm gonna, okay, go ahead.
So if your intention is clear, you're already okay, I like this person, so you should like, let me talk to her, you're not talking to her with deception, you're talking to her because you are attracted to her, you already know, okay, I'm still gonna meet the family and everything, but at the initial stage, you want to know, okay, are we communicating? Maybe just do it for 1 or 2 months, then you take it to the next level. So that's what I'm saying, that period of just trying to communicate a little bit, it's not that you're doubting, you have like confirmation, this is what I want to do. I've seen a lot of people do the Christian ones.
In a Christian way. Okay, go ahead.
I would say at that point, you guys can be friends. No one said you can't be friends, and that you can be friends before you state your intention, because then her emotions don't get tangled into it. It's something that you have to deal with, and you have to understand this is a friend, and that's all that it is. And then whenever you're ready and you see, okay, can we communicate, like you said, okay, the basic things are there, she doesn't anger me whenever she talks, and so when it happens. Like you see how she relates with her friends, you get to see that on a realistic basis. She's no longer putting a front because she knows you like her, so that saves you a lot of trouble. And then once you see all those, check all those boxes, it's almost like being a spy. You get to be in the front row seat of how she relates to her friends, her family, without her even knowing that you have an intention to marry her. Then you go to the parents. I feel like that.
We've had situations where brothers, they are testing the waters. So they are talking to this sister, they're talking to another sister too. And they are calling one, sister, maybe it's AS. Sister, what's your genotype? You understand? Things like that. They're just throwing in questions there. You've not prayed first. You've not been led to the sister. You're just trying to see if it will work out. So that's where it becomes a problem. Because now you are getting this sister, you're asking these suggestive questions, and the sister is thinking, okay, maybe he's interested in me, and eventually he goes to somebody else. So as sisters, it's also important, when a brother starts asking you some intimate questions, ask him his intention. If he makes his intention known, then if you're under a church that has something like marriage committee, direct him to marriage committee so that he can do the needful and not allow it to linger, because you have to also guard your heart, so that would cut down the whole, a brother coming in and eventually cutting off because you didn't meet up to his expectation. So it's important to the brother, make your intention known up front. Don't try to test the water. Even if you are as friends, it's okay, but if you really are led to the sister, make it known to her and then follow the right step. You need to build the foundation right from the beginning.
So there are several ways to marry. It doesn't necessarily have to be through the church. You have different ways. As a Christian brother, as a Christian sister, you can be friend of the girl. You can start up as friendship. David and Stephanie, they were friends. They worked on it's called Mercy Ship, one of those ships that go to Africa and take care of people that are less privileged medically. They were on the same cruise, working together, and that's how they got to know each other and became friends. So it wasn't from a church, it wasn't from a congregation, it was friendship. And once he realized that, I think she may be the one, the next move, he already knew her. He already had interaction with her. He's already friends with her. Then the next move was, okay, let me go to the dad and let the dad know this is my intention. So that's one way. When the church is not involved and it's just you, the girl, and the family, you can now say, okay, my intention is this. Let me let it known to the father or to the family. That's one way. Then there's the way of the church, the marriage committee. Once you've prayed about it, the Holy Spirit have led you, and you are sure of yourself, then don't call the female, go through the marriage committee. Remember, it's a journey of faith. If she said you're not the one, then leave it alone. But if you're 100% sure it's God that is leading you, then don't have that fear of rejection. Just go to the marriage committee and let things pick up from there. Because if you and the sister are under a church that uses marriage committee, but you decide to pick up your phone and call her, the truth is you will degrade yourself. I know that because my husband went through the marriage committee, and a pastor called me and told me, hey, someone have an intention toward you. And I like that. He was right here in the same state with me, but he didn't tell me anything. I had to get a phone call from a different city to tell me someone had intention toward me. I didn't know him very well, but right away he placed him on a higher pedestal. The fact that he didn't come to me directly, it means this is somebody that fear God. So that is like a check mark for you if you go through that route, rather than calling me directly and say, hey, I'm thinking of going toward my marriage committee. It's like, why are you telling me? If you're serious, then go toward marriage committee so I can turn you down. No, I'm kidding. There's no one route. The key to this is avoiding fornication. That is the bottom line. There is no one route and say this must be it. However you get to the marriage destination, did you avoid fornication? Isn't that what the subject is about? Avoiding the route of boyfriend and girlfriend, premarital sex, defiling the bed before marriage, and getting to that marriage destination, honoring God. There's several ways, several routes to get to it. So the key is just do it without committing any sin. Some men say they are addicted to pornography because they don't have a wife. So my question is, do you think once that man becomes married, would that habit come to an end?
No.
Would he be faithful to his wife?
No. I think pornography is, let me use the word demonic. And if someone is into pornography, gets married, I think he's going to be carried away. Unless the person is sincere with himself, wants to get out of pornography, he's going to continue. Yeah, that's what I can say.
Yeah, it's definitely going to carry over. And like you said, it's super demonic because this is something that has held you bound for a long time and has ruined your relationship with God. So it will carry over. It's not a way to kind of like satisfy your present urge, because you're still going to have that urge even after marriage. So the question now is, how do we deal with this thing even before it gets to that point? Because it will still definitely be in marriage. I mean, when people watch pornography, you're exposed to things that are not real and things that actually falsely portray what God has designed, the way God has designed sex. And so even in your marriage, somehow you're thinking, this is how I want it to be, or this is how it should be. And because of that thought and that preconceived notion, it doesn't even work in your marriage because that's not real, So yes, it's going to carry on to your marriage, which is why we need to deal with it right now while we're single.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Okay, my next question is, anybody can answer this. So you are in a church and the pastor is preaching, and part of his sermon, he's encouraging his congregation to be good to their boyfriend, to be good to their girlfriend, because obviously in the congregation you see boyfriend and girlfriend sitting next to each other. Some of them are just coming from clubhouse. So you hear the pastor preaching, he's saying this is how you can be good to your girlfriend, this is how to be good to your boyfriend. Also during tithe and offering, the pastor also encourages, hey, boyfriend and girlfriend, make sure you give your 10%. And you are sitting in that church. I want to know, what would be your reaction? Would you continue to stay in that church? Would you have to talk to the pastor? What would you do as a real Christian? The floor is open.
I had a personal experience on that. I went to a wedding and the pastor was talking about, how to take care of the spouse, and as he was mentioning spouse, he included boyfriend and girlfriend. You should, during Valentine's Day, take your girlfriend to buy her massage, something, things like that. It made me very, very uncomfortable as a guest of the church. It made me very uncomfortable because that's, number one, is not what I'm used to from the church I'm from, and secondly, it totally is against God because he encourages fornication. Boyfriend and girlfriend is not something, it's not considered spouse, because why would you want to treat them with giving them massage or any of that stuff, because that's going to lead to fornication. So I was very uncomfortable being in that church as a guest. So if I was like a member of the church, I definitely would bring it up, not necessarily the pastor, maybe my youth pastor, and ask his opinion on that message, or maybe talk to somebody that I'm closer to get their opinion on that, and just let them know my reaction about that.
Yeah, I feel like this term boyfriend, girlfriend is so commonly used, even sometimes by so-called Christians, right? And it's like they might not really mean it that, oh, I'm actually having sex in this whole thing. But it's like, prior to me marrying her, she's my girlfriend, she's my boyfriend, right? So it's like, how do we define? I guess it's like a question. How do we also categorize these people as doing the wrong thing? Because they are using that term, but it's like, I'm not sleeping with this person, we're not having sex, but right now before I get married, we are not using courtship. This is just my boyfriend, this is just my girlfriend. But we know in the Christendom, like, it's not really appropriate, because if somebody is your girlfriend or your boyfriend for 2 years, 3 years, more than likely you're sleeping with that person. You know, you're being intimate. So I don't know. I'm just for people that are used to using that term.
Yeah. So the question
don't
is,
qualify it as
should a Christian be using the word boy? Oh, she's my girlfriend, she's my boyfriend. Should a Christian be using that word?
I don't know if it's so much a Christian. There have been some Christian cycles I've been in where they interchange the word fiance with boyfriend and girlfriend. So I think it's a matter of who defining the terms. It's not so much as being a Christian.
And the term is so loosely used that the way I believe a lot of true Christian believers that know that there is supposed to be a different way is what they say is intentional dating, right? And so their form of intentional dating is pretty closely linked to courtship, right? And so the link sometimes, in some cases, it can actually be interchangeable. But I do agree, if someone's telling you to go give a massage to your boyfriend or girlfriend, or in this case your fiance, there is, like, the goal is to be pure. So that is not encouraging purity.
If you are in that church and you hear that, what would you do? You are a church member there. What would you do?
I mean, at that point, I'd probably just try and start finding a new church, because that's just, if that's something that they are able to say on the pulpit, then that's something that is common in the congregation. You know.
Would you consider talking to the pastor first, personally? Like a one-on-one meeting with the pastor?
I feel like it depends on how big the church is, how close I am with the pastor, how close I am with certain pastors in the church. I would definitely probably raise my concerns as quickly as possible before I just up and leave.
So, Brother Emmanuel, what would you do?
Probably confront the pastor. Yeah, because it's wrong. It's impersonal. And if there is no change, if there are leaders in the church, you also talk to them about it. If there is no change there, the best is to walk away. You don't want to go to hell with them.
Okay, so another question that I asked Stephanie and David was, do they think that God will recognize boyfriend and girlfriend relationship? I just wanted them to answer that question. Can such a relationship have the blessing of God? I've interacted with not necessarily African, but other people from different nationality, and they are having a conversation with me, and they are constantly saying God will bless their relationship. And then I found out that they are in a boyfriend and girlfriend relationship, and I don't know how to tell them blatantly, like, I don't know about that, but they are constantly discussing, oh, God is with us, and God will bless us, and God this, and God that. So I had to ask David and wife, can God bless a boyfriend and girlfriend relationship? As in, people, they are already together, they are having children inside the relationship, growing old together as boyfriend and girlfriend. So let's hear what David and Stephanie have to say.
You can actually go into that relationship thinking, well, God will give me grace, so I can just do what I like, or I guess handle this relationship how it works best for us, right? Well, and then maybe I can just come back to God and ask His forgiveness for anything that we might have done wrong along the way. Well, God sees through that. He knows our intentions. He knows our heart better than we do. And He's not going to just let us live our lives or our relationship with Him in a way that is either convenient or contrary to His principle or His character. And so you can go ahead and say, all right, well, I'll go ahead and do this and ask for forgiveness later. But He's not just going to let you keep living that out if you intend to serve Him along the way. So go ahead and just steer around that whole strategy in the first place. And just do things the way He says. It'll be a lot easier.
Yep. God definitely knows how to correct people. And believe me, I don't like being on the other side of that correction. It's not very fun.
Do you think God can bless a man and a woman? They are boyfriend and girlfriend, they are in a relationship and they are having children and they are growing old together. Can God bless such a relationship? Because a lot of people practice it here in America.
No.
Let me have you talk because you've been quiet.
If God tells us, there's a process where once you're married, then you can go ahead and have relationship, have children. That's the proper way, that's the one and only way that God will bless this kind of relationship. Now, if we're telling God, no, you're wrong, the way is the way I'm doing it, we can expect God to have the same blessing towards us.
Yeah, for me, I would say God still blesses them. Reason is, if they don't know any better, like that's the only thing they know. Yeah, God blesses the sinners too. He won't say because they are sinners, then He won't bless them. Like, I'm just talking generally. We are not like being particular about marriage now. God still, because He created them, He still blesses them till before He makes them to realize that okay, what they are doing or the life they are living is not good, and He still uses the same love to bring them back to Himself. So I would say, even though they are in, practicing the boyfriend and the girlfriend thing, if they don't know any better, that's the only thing they know, God still blesses them until you make, and if He's so much really interested in them, like He really wants to use them, He makes them to realize their wrongdoings and bring them back to Himself. That's what I would say.
Yeah, adding to what you just saying, in the Bible, there's what they call success and good success. So like God blessing them initially because of their ignorance, it's just success. But when they come to the knowledge of God, then they will not have good success. They will not have a happy home that is governed by God. Yeah. To me, everything that Bible said that let everything be done decently and in order. So if the rule there has been made, there's no shortcuts to the rule. So even here in America, they say ignorance is not an excuse. So but until they come to the knowledge of truth, they'll be missing out on some of the blessings that God had for His own way that He had instituted marriage. That's what I have to say.
I want to clarify my question some more. In America here, most people are aware that God does not recognize boyfriend and girlfriend relationship, but the media have sold to them and the Hollywood celebrity have instilled in them that they don't need to be married, that they just need to get with their boyfriend, have a home, procreate, and move on with their life. And they live that out in their lifestyle from one boyfriend to another, and you see them getting old. To the point that they have successfully sold to the society that in fact, when you get married, your relationship will end. Marriage brings destruction. So stay boyfriend and girlfriend so you can enjoy each other because there's no commitment. So it's in that sense that the people are aware. They know what they are doing. And you talk to them, they're like, nah, once I get married, then I'm obligated to him. But things are sweet now because I'm not obligated to him. So it's from that premise that we want to say, can God continue to bless that relationship or even bless such a relationship? Because they have the knowledge.
I would say in that context, God cannot bless such a relationship. Let's just be honest. God is a God of love, but He's also just. His blessings are conditional. We can't eat our cake and have it. A lot of times we want to just do our thing and just expect that, He will just keep blessing me. Yes, you might find some things that look like blessing in your life, but it's just because of His mercy. He's so merciful, and in knowing that, we have to really be careful and tread with caution, because just because things are going on well doesn't mean that you are okay. It's just a matter of time before something bad will happen and you're back to square one. Right. So God's blessing is conditional. We live in a society where it's like, just do whatever, He will have mercy. He's so loving. Yes, He's loving, but He also wants you to be real with Him and also do what He said, because His blessings come with condition.
Oh, I needed to ask, what do we define as blessings? The reason I ask this question is because, so when we talk about Joshua 1 is, some people are like, oh, I'm a sinner, I'm doing this, I'm making good success, I'm passing my exams, I'm doing very well. So when we say blessing, somebody may define blessing as giving birth to children. So I'm just like trying to understand the angle you're coming from. Is it like having the joy of the Lord in the marriage, having the go ahead, like the peace of God in the marriage, or are we defining the blessing like having children in the marriage?
I guess in this term we are talking about God's best. We have our own will. We have God is good to even the good and the bad, but we want God's best. We want God's attention in our home. We want God's eyes to be on our marriage. Having the presence of God, having God's best, the whole package, not just a little bit of this or a little bit of that. That's what we mean in this context.
It kind of reminds me of the very busy airport, this question that you just asked now. And everyone is going in one singular direction. Someone doing, kind of going contrary to what God says on the issue of relationship. It's like someone going in the opposite direction. There's going to be confusion, there's going to be non-clarity, there's going to be so much confusion. So God can't bless something that's opposite to His will.
The situation that we find ourselves facing as Christians is that you see, the analogy she used is like an airport, a lot of people going to this direction and few going this direction. But unfortunately in this world, a lot of people are going the wrong direction and very few are going the right direction. And so someone like my sister here, she's only 14 years old, and she look at the society and millions are going this way. So she thinks this is the right way because it's only 2-3 people that are going this way. So in this case, automatically she want to join the millions that are going that direction. How do we get her to see that no, this is the right direction, even though there's only 3 people? Even though there's only 4 people compared to the 1 million that are going the route of boyfriend and girlfriend, and you see only 5 girls in your neighborhood, or maybe only 1 in your whole apartment or where you live, only 1 girl that is living for Christ. Where does she take that example from and say, you know what, I need to follow this girl, I don't need to follow this crowd?
Going to heaven is a personal decision. So I think that millions are doing it, obviously does not make it right, and then you take this decision that I want to do this, then God can help you, and by your own determination, you can be able to stand out. That's all.
So let's go back to David and wife. I asked them a question. I asked them, I said, what is your advice to men and women concerning obeying the commandment of thou shalt not commit adultery? And how can they handle the pressure from a society that seems to show that everybody fornicates, and the society is even smiling at adultery at this point? And we see it through sitcom. I don't know if anybody watched the sitcom, what is the name? The one with the president. The Scandal. How many people watch Scandal here? Nobody did? Oh, good. Oh, only see you. Yeah, it's a sitcom called Scandal, and she's having an affair with the president, and of course her character is appreciated in that whole situation. So there's a message being sent to the society that this is okay. So I asked David about it, that it's so shocking that we have come to the point where people are actually smiling at such a situation. So let's hear what you have to say.
That's a really tough issue, because the pressure from society is significant, and if you look at it from a majority versus minority standpoint, well, the person who is deciding to not have sex outside of marriage is heavily in the minority. But with that being said, you can't let public opinion be your measuring stick for morality ever. That needs to be God. And when God tells you to do something, obeying Him is not just about because He said so. That's not how He approaches it, and we really shouldn't either. We have to understand that when God tells us something, that it's not out of pride or arrogance or control. It's because He really has our best interest at heart. He's the good shepherd. And so, do you trust Him? And do you trust Him on the level that you are willing to follow through on the things that He says to do, even when they are inconvenient or difficult? But if you believe that God really has our best interests at heart, that He loves us and He cares for us, and the things that He tells us to do, such as not committing adultery, are things that are going to benefit us, then it actually makes that obedience a lot easier.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think there are emotional and mental benefits and even physical benefits for not having a sexual history with other people. There was less pressure on our wedding night. I mean, we were both learning together. And beyond, obviously.
James, why I was so excited that you were coming to be our guest in this interview is that you are somebody that have actually had the experience of going outside of the will of God, so to speak, to experiencing sexual intimacy before marriage. And you actually experienced it at a very young age. How old were you?
I was 16.
16. Oh, okay. So you were 16-year-old, but you grew up in a real Christian home, right? You did. But you still made the decision to try and see what it's like out there. So I have somebody who have been out there, and by God's grace, you are back in Christ. You've recommitted your life in Christ. What is your advice to people that are hearing this? Wait until you get married before you become intimate. Hold up. But of course, in society, a lot of pressure is coming in from every corner. But you have had experience, and you are very young. What is your advice to the people out there that are just being pressured from every corner? What can you tell them?
I guess the main advice I would say is, first of all, know Christ for yourself. Make that be a personal thing. It's not something that your parents have handed down to you. It's not something that your parents are forcing on you. Until that is personal, there's really no room to be against the world, because you're either in it or you're not. And then the second one is ask questions from those who you know are in Christ, rather than your friends who were at school or don't.
Did you feel like you asked questions from your friends, like the reason why you kind of went into that?
I don't think I asked questions. I guess I have to say it didn't even start at the age of 16. I guess the battle began at the age, I don't know, I was in 6th grade. I don't know how you're old. How old are you at 6th grade?
12.
12? So yeah, 12 is a very dangerous age. I knew nothing about sex, nothing about like any of that. And I failed a grade. And
the group, the grade I was in, the previous grade, no one really talked about anything. But the grade I ended up in, everyone was talking about, oh, you were kissing this person last night, you were touching this person last night.